Hello guys, and welcome back. My name is David, and this is Scott, UNLV professor of the gaming lab. So by the way, let's start with that. How is the gaming lab going at UNLV?
A little quiet right now with the COVID.
Yes.
But we're going to be in action in October.
Oh, very good.
And our great friends from CEG have already pledged their great support to bring the team members over. But we'll be masked up. We got the distancing. We're going to be all
ready to go.
I wrote the safety plan.
Professor David.
Professor David.
Ready to lecture.
Adjunct professor.
Adjunct professor. I can't wait. That's fantastic. We have some UNLV students at the school who have signed up for all games, and they're very specific when they come in. Scott's given us the path. I need all the games. I got to learn everything. That's the key. Today, we're going to have some interesting topics. We're going to have some stories along the way, but we're going to talk about the career path. Scott has had a very interesting career, especially those of us who, really both on the strip and off the strip. Local casino with Station.
Yeah.
Some big players on the strip, obviously, Mirage, MGM properties, and then even in other markets, like other big markets,
Macau.
Some smaller Macau, Saipan. So we'll have a few. I'll have a little context because I played a role in opening some casinos in Louisiana. Of course, not at the level. These were river boats. That was sort of a new entry there. But here
Opening's an opening, though, David.
Opening's an opening.
Opening a casino is an adventure.
It is. It was quite the adventure.
And it's the biggest thing you want to be able to put on your resume, gang.
It's fantastic.
I opened this place.
It's very true, because you learn, if you think you know a lot, if you're a dealer or a supervisor, you know a lot within your sort of domain, but opening a casino introduces a lot more to that dynamic. Like, where do the games go? Where does the cashier go? What's the pathing? What's the minimums? What's the maximums?
A lot more interaction with the other departments.
Yeah.
The support departments.
Yeah, a lot more support. There's just so much that plays into opening a casino. Scott, where did you start? Like we talked the other day, but you started as a dealer.
Yeah.
You were a dealer for 20 years, give or take. And then what made you finally decide to become a supervisor? Like, what was the transition? At what point did you say, I'm done bending over?
I really enjoyed dealing. I loved it, but I really wanted to keep going, and dealing's a physically demanding gig.
Back in the days.
Pumping cards and bent over the crab table.
Yeah.
It's a hard hustle. I give folks a lot of credit that can do it for an extended period of time. So to me, it was, I wanted to get on the floor. My dreams were to be able to get to the highest level I could. And I used to call it the golden handcuffs, because in a lot of cases, you're making more money dealing than you would as a supervisor.
That's it. That's true.
You had to cut the golden handcuffs.
You had to be willing to let go.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's like take one step back to be able to take 2 steps forward in the future.
So my first dual rate job was at the Casino Boardwalk. I was offered dual rate. The only reason I took it is because I got to do dual rate on Wednesday, Thursdays, and I still got to deal weekends. By the way, dual rate is when you're floor. So you're a dealer most days or some days, and then some days you come in on the floor with a suit. So I took it only because Fridays, the Casino Boardwalk wasn't the greatest casino to begin with. The only days they made any tokes really were Fridays and Saturdays. So I wasn't willing to give that up. But they said, no, don't worry about it. We'll just put you in a suit on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and then Fridays, Saturdays you come in. Or Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays I come in and deal. So what was your first suit job or dual rate? Did you start as a dual rate?
Yeah, I dual rated in Atlantic City.
Oh, okay.
So I sat box a little bit just to do that, and I was primarily a craps guy, and then I transitioned into Baccarat late in Atlantic City. Okay. So but I don't think I sat box 100 times in Atlantic City in 9 years.
Okay, so when you came to Vegas, when did you first put on a suit here?
About 4 years into my Mirage gig.
Wow, at the Mirage.
Yeah, so I was working at the Mirage about 5 or 6 months after they opened.
Okay.
I got the big phone call. Just loved dealing there.
Yeah.
That was an adventure. It was a
How did you give up dealing at the Mirage for a suit at the Mirage?
A lot of my friends had that same question for me.
Wow.
And there was the pit manager in the at the Mirage at the time was a good friend of mine, and he's like, you got to put that suit on sooner or later, and the Mirage was a great place to do it because of the camaraderie and to be able to step in and do it at a high level, having the support of your friends who are the dealers.
Who are dealers already.
So they're helping me out. They're calling their bets out. They're letting me know like what this guy walked with and who's putting chips in their pocket and things like that. So And I really tried to support the supervisors when I was a dealer. So now I'm the junior supervisor. They really gave me a lot of love too. So the Mirage was just crazy great experience for me.
I missed out about it. So, interesting, like I always thought that the best time for me to become a supervisor was like a new job. I was always afraid. So I've seen people who have gone from dealer to supervisor and it kind of go right to their head. And the next thing, they're all of a sudden, they went from being you sharing their breaks and having, tea to now they're just barking orders at you, giving you a hard time of the game, especially within, one on Dice Crew, where I've had somebody on my crew who got promoted, for whatever reason, or they're a boxman now, giving me crap for nonsense, just because they can type of thing. All right, so it took you a while to get on to, start a suit. So we normally advise that dealers deal long enough to get the experience they need before they transition, right?
I agree.
Because if I know a lot of strip casinos, like they want you as a dealer to have seen as much as possible on the game, have confronted as many issues, and really have presence on a table. We know some of the local casinos get hard pressed for having supervisors, so they offer a suit, kind of early. We've had dealers 6 months at a station casino, in fact, been offered a suit. And they'll ask us, like, do you recommend me taking the job? Well, frankly, that's going to stop your dealing. Now you're only going to ever be a 6-month dealer. You put on that suit,
right?
And your dealing time has sort of expired. And a lot of strip properties, they want you to have, you know what I mean? So what are your thoughts on that specifically?
It all depends on what your career goals are. But when I was director at Palace Station, I was fortunate that my relationship with UNLV, I would always get an intern every semester. Mm-hmm. And I had some really, really great interns. And when I got a chance to take the job in Saipan, I actually brought 3 of my top interns with me to Saipan. So what I was doing as director, like, you want to talk about a career path for like what I did with the interns? Yeah. So I've got the intern, and it's their final go round at UNLV. So they're a senior at UNLV. So after they intern with me, they're going to graduate. So let's take the classic example. Young man's name Baccarat. Okay. So really great young man, Hungarian young guy, just got his U.S. citizenship, the whole bit. Wow. So anyway, he's my intern. So he was fantastic. He was over the charts, off the charts, great. So he's working with me as an intern, and I got him rotated into table games, slots, racing sports, bingo, Keno, because I was the director of the casino. So those other, and poker, those other ancillary departments kind of reported to me. Right. So I had to open door policy with them. So when I would transition my interns into these other support departments, it was a tremendous experience with them. Wow. And our GM really supported it. He was a UNLV guy, so I could be able to bring my interns to the marketing meetings. I could bring my interns to like P&Ls. Wow. It was really, really.
These are 21. They're 21 at this point.
Yeah. You couldn't be on the casino floor unless you're 21.
Okay.
So in Balant's case, as soon as upon graduation and his internship was terminated with me, I hired him as a pit clerk. And I think that's the best, easiest, quickest way to get an entry-level position in the casino. So, and in his case, because I had my tremendous relationship with the #1 dealing school in America, I got Balant. You guys gave him a partial scholarship to CEG, so he learned how to deal blackjack and baccarat. Yep. So as he's pit clerking for me, he's moonlighting with you. Yeah. And then it's time for him, as soon as he was good enough to deal. And in my office, I kept a blackjack table. Oh. So what we would do is if we had to do a training or a new game, or if I had a vendor come in, they could come into my office and there was a table there. So I'd have like one of my top dealers on breaks polish him up. So he's working with you guys and then getting that professional polish at night. Yeah. So the long story short was, as soon as I was comfortable that he could handle dealing a live game, his pit clerk days were over. Yeah. But when he was a pit clerk, he learned how to generate markers. He learned how to generate fills. So he was light years ahead of a junior floor supervisor in that kind of aspect, right? No doubt. So now he's dealing 21. He's getting exposure to Baccarat, and then I put him on the fast track to be dual rate. So that 6 months that you were talking about, that's one of those cases. But here's a lot of old school casino folks that blows their mind. But here's the deal. A young man like that is going to UNLV, and he's already had multiple gaming courses. He actually was in a gaming innovations class where he invented his own variety of a dice game. So, I mean, he's pretty polished as a break-in,
right.
you know? And
right.
he worked with you guys and, you know, cruised right through, you know, your system.
Yep.
And then between the little bit of polish I could put on him in my office with special helpers. Yeah. But I think for folks coming out, like if you're looking to get to go to UNLV or community college and get a hospitality degree, that's great. But if you can get with the right leadership team at the casino, that's going to support that.
Right.
So I was real big on supporting that, and I was really lucky because my GM was a UNLV alumni, and he was full support. So he just let me run with the ball.
Wow.
So, and actually, you know, like I said, 3 of my interns flew to Saipan for a major job.
I mean, that sounds like the way to go. More casinos should entertain this, especially if you're trying to train. I mean, you learn everything from the ground up, right?
Yeah.
Well, especially learning the marketplace, that creates presence. Now you know how the money moves through the property, right? Yeah. Especially at that level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean,
that's fantastic.
If there's any way that your viewers can get an internship,
right?
You know, either through with their college or, you know, or even just go into the casino and ask for it.
Yeah.
You know, it's tough right now with COVID because a lot of the casinos literally are in survival mode.
Right.
You know, I mean, we're trying to keep as many folks working. We're trying to keep everybody safe. We're not really focused on the interns right now because you know I teach at UNLV and I lost my internship program. It's postponed this month, so that was a real drag for me. But I think that the quickest way that you can be comfortable, you got to be comfortable because you got to get your hands dirty. You can't be the boss if you don't understand how the games work. When you're called over to the table to put out a fire, I mean, when your phone rings, it's not good news.
Right.
Okay? When the phone rings, it's always bad news, and you have to come in and put out a fire or fix, you know, an opportunity.
Right.
So, you know, if you don't understand, if you can't walk up and in 3 seconds look at the table and realize what happened, and be able to, you know, you can't put the genie back in the bottle.
No,
it's already exposed on the table.
Right there.
But what you want to do is fix the problem as fast as possible, make as many people happy. Don't disrespect the joint. But let's get the cards moving because we don't make any money when the cards aren't moving. Right. But you have to know how to do that. You can't come right out of UNLV or you can't come right out of CEG and deal for a couple weeks and then be the pit boss.
That's right.
You have to get your hands dirty.
You need to know what's in play.
You got to respect the game. You got to respect the craft.
You absolutely have to respect the game. I know that. You know, that's where you run into lots of issues where you have to resolve, right? So it's problem solving. You know, you have a customer who might be irate, you know, depending upon what decision you make, obviously, that's playing out in a live game, there's money at play. Of course, you have the interest of the casinos at play. So sometimes being able to make those decisions, you need that experience. You need that sort of ground floor. You need to understand sort of what's in play, what the dynamic is.
It's all confidence level.
Yeah.
It's all confidence level. I mean, you know, when I try to tell my young folks that I'm dealing with is, you know, you put that cape on, you put that big S on your chest, and you walk on that casino floor like you understand and you're confident about what's going on. You're Superman or Wonder Woman when you hit the floor.
That's true.
You know, and it's got to reflect in your body language, and it's got to resonate off your body.
By the way, that's a big thing. One of the things we try to convince, or one of the things we try to teach is presence. We talk about presence a lot.
Yeah.
So as a dice dealer, you know, you have a lot of players try to take shots, but the more confident you are, and the more on top of your play, the more you own your table and your side, the less shots you get because people don't take shots on that type of confidence. You know, they're less apt to roll you over.
There's softer spots out there.
That's right.
There's a lot softer spots.
No.
There's always a soft spot in the casino.
Right.
You don't want it to be you.
Yeah, you don't want it to be you. That's
okay.
Right.
I mean, and if you conduct yourself with a presence that you are confident in what you're doing, you can still be a really happy and guest service oriented type of person, but you're not going to be taken advantage of. You're not going to pass post me over here.
That's right.
Okay?
Yes, that's absolutely true. I control my player action. You know what I mean? That's the way I keep 8 people, you know, managed in real time is by staying ahead of them, by providing customer service, by being a full service deal, by doing all that. But at the same time, so if I make a mistake, I own the mistake. So a lot of times I'll make a mistake and I do it with such confidence that they assume it's the right answer, even if maybe
Right.
I'm off a nickel. But that's the point, where I have enough presence on the game that people are they're happy to just play and be part of that dynamic.
But let's be honest. How long did it take you till you could get to that confidence
It took
level
me a while.
to where you could be anticipating what the guest was going to do next?
It took me years.
Took me.
It wasn't easy.
I know
5-6 years easy.
Yeah, it took me a long time
Yep.
too. I mean, I know for a fact it took me over a year to deal craps in Atlantic City before I could go home and say, I don't think I made a mistake today.
Yep.
I don't think I made a mistake today.
And
that's a year.
Yeah.
That's
No
5-6 days a week,
Yep.
8-9 hours a day grinding.
Yep.
It's a tough hustle when you're breaking in.
It really
And
is.
I was really into breaking in. I mean,
Yep.
I had a table. I called it the chip chair. Like like a student has a desk like this.
Yeah.
We put felt over it, and we had one on the right, one on the right-handed, left-handed. But I remember my roommate coming out of his room freaking out one night. "Will you stop cutting them chips?"
Dude.
But it's like, you have to practice.
That's it. And people want to know, people ask me how I got to be such a good, because I practice. I would go home like that and practice. That was always what Atlantic City was always known. Atlantic City's dealers, mechanics were fantastic, especially dice dealers. You could tell instantly as a dice, me being a dice dealer. So I love the game of dice. So, I had felt at home that I made. I had checks at home. I was even now, today, I have a stack of checks with me, and I'm running them down.
My mother bought me 20 real silver dollars.
Yeah.
To to build up the hand
to build
strength.
up the hand strength. Yep.
And the thing is,
that was a thing.
To your viewers, just cut one check, but not drop it. Cut. One.
Yep.
Two.
That's
two,
it.
two.
Yeah,
three,
we teach.
three.
Yep.
I mean, these little drills that you can do.
Yep.
It's going to exponentially take your game to another level.
That's it. So when you get to the point where you can manage the checks, it literally takes away that dynamic. I remember even being for blackjack dealers, when you're confronted with lots of big stacks and you're not confident as cutting checks or drop cutting or sizing into checks, it's like, oh, cripe. You know what I mean? You go out there and now you got all these, but if you're confident, boom, 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 you're just around that layout, you're controlling your game. Interestingly, I did the same thing with the silver dollars. I had a stack of silver dollars. They weren't, by that time here in Vegas, they were all converted. They were all the machine dollars. But I was also told to do quarters. I was starting working with, so for the small dexterity, I would literally take a stack of actual birds, so 25-cent pieces. And the more you worked on it, so now when you take off come bets and you manage the bets into place, you're used to dealing with these small piles of coins basically. So you're in Vegas. I'm a dealer in Vegas. The internship, by the way, that's fantastic. And I have to tell you once again, the UNLV thing, the fact that there's a hospitality hall and that there's a forward-facing educational and institution now that recognizes casino gaming as its own career path.
#1 in America, gang.
Is fantastic. No, it is. It's a great career path.
Yeah.
I mean,
Plus, look at this gaming lab that we have.
It's amazing.
150,000 hotel rooms.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think people miss the idea that this is a career path. There's so many people who have supported their families and raised families and have bigger houses now and have where gaming has been. And even now with gaming itself, it's a fairly insulated, even with COVID. So COVID, lots of entertainment venues, lots of restaurants, but casino floors are busy. Casinos are still, Vegas has recovered. Granted, it's going to take extra minute. There's a lot of things that have to play out, but people always want to gamble. You know what I mean? That's the thing.
But here's the other part too. Is some of our bigger strip properties are having a challenge right now because of the flights. Until the flights get squared away.
Right.
But I challenge you to walk into Palace Station and try to get a seat tonight.
No, I know. It's unbelievable.
Friday night, try to get a seat at Palace Station. You better come early and come strong.
And you got to come with some money.
Yeah.
The table limits are up.
Because the $5 and $10 games are very few and far between.
There's very few. Stratosphere packed, $25 tables. They have high rollers coming in on crap.
Because they have the local and they have the drive-up business.
That's it.
When I was running Palace, it was 60-40 local to drive-up business. Very few plane rides flights did we have to depend on.
They've even talked, so Macau is still not doing so well. Macau's taking a big hit.
94% off year over year.
And now, we're only off 30-something% this last month.
Macau's really suffering.
But that's not too bad, really. I would expect it to be a bigger number, but 30%, that's a lot, but that's not nearly. To be honest with you,
30% is a big number.
Yeah,
but it's not 94.
But it's not 94. You know what I mean? All right, so here, let's just do this. So why should we have someone at the school, Lauren, who is one of our, she works at Cosmo, high limit dealer, and she's never wanted to be a supervisor. There's nothing that's ever come across her plate where she said, you know what, now's the time. Of course, she works at Cosmo, that's pretty good money as a dealer, but she's had other opportunities where she could have, she worked at the Rio longer than she should have, you know, after the Marnells left and it was no longer the job. At what point should someone make a decision to be a supervisor? Like, where do you think is a good transition point? So maybe what was your transition point when you decided, you know, okay, I'm done with dealing. You know, you get past the money?
With the money, but I kind of got to the point where I made my dream came true.
Right.
I got to come to Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I was made it to the major leagues.
Yeah.
You know, and it wasn't just Las Vegas, it was the Mirage.
Right.
And the Mirage, and you know, the Mirage back in the day was the place.
That was the place.
And
no doubt
and to
about
be
it.
able to deal there for 5 years and deal to all the gaming royalty, the superstar athletes, movie stars, everybody. Who's who. I got to meet them all. I got to deal to them all. So then it was just second nature. When it wasn't a rush anymore, then it was okay. Then it was time to take the step.
Take the suit, yeah.
But you know, the thing is, I think is, you know, you can never be casino manager or you can never be director until you become the floor supervisor.
Right. You gotta start.
You know, I really wanted to have a leadership role, and I would really watch how people, other managers would handle situations, and I'd either write that down as a good thing or write it down as don't do that. So, you know, I was always focused on taking that next step. It was just cutting those golden handcuffs because we were making pretty decent money at the Mirage.
Fantastic. Still, to this day, it's a great job. Yeah. So, one of the other things I talk to, you know, dealers about is that when you become a suit, now the responsibility, you know, we tell dealers don't take responsibility for anything. If you have a decision, you make a mistake, you pass that off to the supervisor.
Exactly.
But once you're a supervisor, that's now your mistake. You have to own it.
Well,
go ahead.
Or you could put it off on the pit manager.
Oh, move it up the chain.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, and when I was director, I would tell the supervisor, if you don't know in your heart and your head exactly what happened, and you called surveillance and we're still not okay, hold on. And all you have to do is make one phone call.
That's it.
Because if the supervisor calls the shift manager, they're done.
That's it.
They're done. Their job is to keep the guests smiling until the shift manager comes.
That's it.
Now the shift manager has to fix it. Then the next piece comes. That's when it's 4 o'clock in the morning and my phone starts ringing because the shift manager can't fix the problem and they got to wake me up and I got to make a decision at 4 o'clock in the morning on what to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
kind of why I work at UNLV now, because UNLV doesn't call me at 4 in the morning.
Yeah, that's right. That's a good way to go. Yeah, don't assume you're right. You're either right or you call.
Yeah.
If you know you're right.
If you're not 100%. But
that's it.
Who's our best friend? Surveillance.
That's it.
Surveillance, the eye that never blinks.
That's the eye that never blinks.
If you're not 100% sure, you call surveillance. You know, if something happens, you mark the table, you pull out the paddle. You know, the Dropbox paddle. This way the surveillance guy could zoom right in on the paddle. Okay, it's the hand before the paddle. They can watch it real quick, and they can give you their opinion. But if they don't give you a definitive answer, you got to. But I'm talking if it's real money. If we're talking about
this, we just let it go.
If somebody's got to call me about $10, I need a new supervisor.
Yeah, that's it. Okay? That's true, by the way.
So,
we've had that.
But if you're talking about this, you got to make the call.
That's it. Interestingly, so just on that note, real quickly, I was asked the other day, we were teaching a class. So in all my years of dealing dice or being involved with a dice game, I've been called down on by surveillance probably a total of 8 times, something like 7 or 8 times. 2 of those times were for actual payouts to some high, some big money. Those were at the Rio. It was, $10,000, $5,000 game, whatever it was at the time. And both times the surveillance was wrong. Both times they were wrong.
What's going on, guys? It's Alex here. We just finished recording our 12-minute challenge. We'd like to invite you guys, anyone that's interested in coming down, you don't have to pay or anything like that. Just come down, join our Discord link, and also join us on Twitch. We stream 4 days a week, live blackjack, live craps, live carnival games. Hope to see you soon. Bye.